The opportunity of climate change, like any serious condition, is to really examine the underlying causes of what's going on. And in many cases, we need that. We need that motivation individually and collectively. So rather than looking at climate change as a bad thing, I really look at climate change as a really profound opportunity, individually and collectively. And maybe that's exactly what we needed. Maybe climate change is exactly what we needed right now for us to really address what's going on. And I believe that is true. In the last part of the last chapter of my book, I talk about specifically the opportunity of climate change. And I say that in addition to the potential catastrophe of climate change, there is the real significant opportunity. It's to look at where climate change comes from. And as I write about and as I've been talking about, climate change comes from an overvaluing of the yang and a devaluing of the yin. And climate change can be very scary. You know, in the opening of the book, I write about Tropical Storm Irene and how the floods that resulted really devastated Vermont and New England and a lot of the U.S. And so it's not to deny that. It's not to pretend that climate change is not a serious condition. It is a serious condition, not only in the U.S. but around the world. The increase of storms, the increase of fires, the increase of drought, the increase of climate destabilization is very real, and it's very possible it will get a lot worse very quickly. But rather than labeling that, rather than saying, well, that's a bad thing or a catastrophic thing, if we step back to it, step back from that, we can see it really as a very exciting opportunity. Because when symptoms have gotten to a severe state, it really can shake things up. You know, people who come in here who have diagnoses, whatever they are, significant diagnoses, for example, like cancer, it really, I think, provides the motivation to make changes. And that if we didn't have that serious condition, maybe we would be less motivated to make the changes. So the opportunity of climate change is really for us to reevaluate and reimagine our lives. Because what's happening ecologically is also happening culturally, and that's what's happening individually. So the opportunity is to look at what's working and what's not working. And I think despite the stories we're encouraged to believe in our culture, despite the stories we're fed in the media, things are not working. Things are not working individually on a community level or a family level, and certainly not on a cultural level. So the opportunity of climate change is to move back towards health. It's to reimagine our cultural systems, our economy, our medical system, our educational system, to really reimagine what a good life is. Because so much of what we're encouraged to believe a good life is more. More stuff, more activity, more busyness. And none of those things are bad. Activity, stuff, doing things, that's not inherently bad, but it's gotten to be so out of balance that even those things that are supposedly meaningful, really, for many of us, are not meaningful. We're encouraged to believe that simply because something is new, it's better than something that's old, that doing something is better than not doing something, that yang is better than yin. And that simply doesn't work. It doesn't work individually, it doesn't work collectively, and it doesn't work ecologically. So the opportunity for climate change is really to look at the assumptions in our own lives, look at the assumptions in our culture, and really look at honestly what's working, what's not working. So for me, that's very exciting. You know, it's like working with someone with cancer. I work with a number of people with cancer, or a condition like Lyme disease. I work with a lot of people with Lyme disease. When the diagnosis is at an advanced state, it really has the potential to open things up. It has the potential to look at things like diet, things like activity levels, things like sleep, things like how that person with that condition looks at the world. So in addition to the possible catastrophe, there's also the really deep opportunity to look at what's promoting health and what's not. And I really think we have that strong encouragement now, both in terms of the extraordinary cancer rates we have, as well as really the dysfunction in our culture, and certainly with the climate crisis. It's really our collective wake-up call.